It's no joke that North Korea is a very isolated country. There is no Facebook, no religion, barely any cars, no connection to the outside world, and most of all, there is zero freedom. If you are born in North Korea, you are forced to stay there forever, and if you try to escape, they will most likely kill you. So today, we will be going over just how much North Korea is the hardest country to escape. Starting off with the first way to escape North Korea. The border of North Korea and South Korea. Now, on both sides of the border is full of army soldiers that are strictly there to do your job, which on the North Korean side is to make sure no civilians are trying to escape, and on the South Korean side of the border is to make sure there is no gunfire between the two Koreas. Now, at this border is probably the hardest way to escape North Korea. There is millions of landmines, millions of army soldiers, and is guarded 24/7 no matter what. So if you were born in North Korea, this would quite literally be the worst possible way of escaping. A very small amount of people make it doing it this way. So on to the next possible way of escaping North Korea. The West and East Coast Ocean outside of North Korea. Starting off with the West Coast, which is the closest ocean to the most popular North Korean city, Pyongyang, North Korea, which when you could visit North Korea before Obama made it illegal to go, was the most visited tourist section in North Korea. If you live in Pyongyang, North Korea, this is the closest ocean, and you could leave the west coast on a boat. But this is a lower chance of escaping compared to the east side, since it is guarded by ocean patrol mostly every day. So if your method of escaping North Korea is to swim the entire west coast ocean, the safest option is to leave at nighttime, since it is dark and patrol will need very bright lights to see you swimming or going on a boat. Except the only problem, of course, being food, water, and big sea creatures. Next up is the East Coast Ocean of North Korea, aka the Sea of Japan. Now, the east side of the North Korea Ocean is not guarded as much as the west side is, but there is of course a reason for that. On the East Coast, there is usually very big waves, very much dangerous waters, but most importantly, the water is usually about 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And to put that in perspective, the coldest your shower can get at home is about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's safe to say this is one of the worst methods of escaping North Korea, but it is definitely better than escaping on the South and North Korean border. Now, what most people think would be the best way of escaping is to go up the borders to China or Russia. But most of the time, the guards of Russia and China are usually told to send back any civilians they see back to North Korea. And it's only to know what the North Korea government would do to you by then, which would most likely be to execute you and 3 generations of your family. Yes, you heard that right. If you try and escape North Korea, they will kill your entire family and any babies they have along 3 generations. So yet again, a very risky way to try and escape North Korea. Another way to escape North Korea is to pay a soldier to let you pass one of the borders. But this method is very unpopular, as not many people can afford it. And the chances of you finding a guard that's willing to do this for you is probably a 1 out of 10 chance. You will have to pay the guards all of your family life savings, all of your shelter, all of your food, all of your water, and even if they allow you to do it after this, it's all a risk. So paying a guard to help you escape North Korea is safer than the last methods and has a way higher rate to succeed. The next possible way to escape North Korea is something a little bit different. So if you are born an attractive enough looking woman in North Korea, you could sit by the gas stations and wait to pump gas into cars. Yes, that might sound weird at first, but if you don't know, only government officials can have cars, which are usually men and are usually very rich people, hence why they have a car in the first place. Keeping in mind that only 1 in 3,000 people in Pyongyang, North Korea have a car, or really any other place in North Korea. So yes, if you are an attractive enough looking woman, you could sit by a gas station and wait wait for cars to come. And when these men see you, they will usually want to marry you or just date you, which is one of the more smarter ways to escape. So the girls who did this usually steal their husband's car and drive it into whatever border is closest to them. They would crash the car into the border and run until they are free. But that is of course if the country you escape into even allows civilians to come in, since most of the time they are told to send back anyone who tries to come into their country just so they don't start any drama to the other country. Although sadly not many people have pulled it off, but it is still possible. Here is a video of a guy doing it that was literally on live news. So there you go, if you are a good enough looking woman in North Korea, that's how you can get access to a car, aka a better way to escape. But this new method is again very unpopular. So if you don't already know, if you live in North Korea, you're not allowed to have a world globe or a map. So the chances of you finding out about where other countries are is very low. And for this method, the chances of you knowing about the country that shelters people who try and escape is very low. In that country being Mongolia. It is one of the few countries who get North Korean escapers often. But what does it take to get from North Korea to Mongolia? Well, first, you will of course have to pass the guards that are between that border, which is already hard enough, of course, I'm sure we all know that, but if you manage to get past that, you have to cross the entire Gobi Desert, aka one of the biggest deserts in the entire world. It would take an estimate of 58 days of walking in burning heat and whatever food and water you had from North Korea, if what you have is even enough to last you 58 days in burning heat. But the saddest part is a 58-day travel with barely any survival sources is the best way of escaping North Korea. Out of all the methods we went over, there are very few of course, but this, a 58-day travel through the desert, is the best one. We should all be sad for the people that live in North Korea. The only thing we could do is pray, as in North Korea, 1 in 20 North Koreans are soldiers, compared to 1 in 300 Americans are soldiers. So even though North Korea's population is not as big as America's, we have about even in soldiers. So the sad reality is, if we were to start a war with North Korea to try and free the innocent people that live there, we would most likely lose a lot of our population. But hopefully one day North Korea can be as free as its neighbor South Korea, which is a country full of sports, full of restaurants, full of activities, and as I said before, most importantly, there is freedom in South Korea. Or maybe even one day, North Korea and South Korea can just be one Korea itself. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it teaches you a lesson to be grateful where you live, because just imagine if you were born in the most isolated country in the world, aka North Korea.